Welcome to TradersPost office hours for May 27th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Hartman, marketing manager here for TradersPost, alongside Mike Christensen, co-founder and CSO, and John Wage, founder and CEO. We're always working to make TradersPost better day in and day out. Each week, we take a deep dive into all things TradersPost, answering your questions, gathering your feedback, and help you get the most out of the best automated trading platform in the multiverse. We've also combined come through social media posts to see what might be interesting around the automated trading space. So without further ado, let's get into it. Gents, how's it going? How has your, what was it, President's Day weekend in the United States? How did that go?
Memorial Day.
So what do we remember on Memorial Day? Oh, wait, it has to be the brutal, savage war or something like that. I'm sure.
Veterans, yep, you're spot
on. Yeah, we had... In Canada, we have this split between Quebec and the rest of the country. And so whenever they have like a national holiday, we don't do that. And then we only follow our own little national holiday. So I always find it pretty interesting that all of the United States can celebrate together. Is it painful when the markets are closed? Do you guys feel like, hey, if the markets aren't open, something doesn't feel right? Like your EKG, like got disconnected from your finger and you don't actually have your pulse?
No, I feel like it's nice when the markets are actually closed. It's a little quiet, less going on. We all need to take that break from time to time. The idea of introducing a 24/7 stock market isn't exactly very appealing to me because I enjoy the breaks.
Well, you discussed in the meeting today that your break was more work. So I
did get to work on some coding. That's true.
That's right. All right, perfect. And John, I hope everything went well. There's no snowboarding anymore, so your joy is gone. I'm not sure if there's a grass boarding or whatever is equivalent in the springtime.
My springtime activity is bike riding, so I think I rode like 35 miles over the weekend.
I see. All right, perfect.
That's a lot of miles.
Well, in addition to that, right before the weekend, there was a push for some enhancements to the TradersPost platform, which was pretty fun. So let's just go ahead and step through that a little bit. My favorite change here is that we have an update to branding colors to support dark mode and improve print readability. We've refined our color palette in preparation for dark mode, ensuring better contrast and versatility across both digital and printed formats. I'm biased, but my God, I'm so happy for the feeling of it. When I'm on the site now, I go, this just feels so nice to my eyes, so beautiful. It feels really good. Are you guys getting used to it, or do you like violently miss the green?
No, I don't miss it. It's weird the logo isn't showing there for whatever reason. I was just looking at it. Should show the new logo colors there.
Oh, you mean like in the...
Yeah,
because we see it at the top left anyway.
Yeah.
Might need to do a hard refresh there of that page. I've been noticing.
No. I mean the like in the enhancements section underneath updated branding colors, the logo. It's there when I edit it, but it's not when you render.
Got it. All right. Next up, a strategy name now visible in subscription list and header. To make it easier to identify which strategy a subscription belongs to, we've added the strategy name to the subs. That's over here. Wait, that's over here, right? What are you referring to? So for the second one over here, the strategy name now visible in the subscriptions, that's
third line.
That's if you're on the subscriptions page.
Okay.
And then also when you're viewing or editing a subscription in the header, it shows the strategy name as well.
Yep.
Got it. Excellent. Added a list of connected subscriptions to broker dashboard. You can now see all subscriptions linked to a broker directly on the broker's dashboard page, making it easier to track what strategies are active on each account. I'm curious, these types of changes, these quality of life changes that get incrementally done, you turn back and you look at TradersPost 6 months, a year later. Do you guys feel the weight of it? Do you guys feel the weight of all these changes little by little, and go, hey, this platform is actually feels better to use and more intuitive over time? Or do you feel like, no, we still got like so much to do, like not even gonna look back?
I think there's definitely
both
room for improvement. Yeah, but I do like that it's significantly better. Yeah, I'm right there with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, all the little changes add up over time, but there's always more to do, both because you're never done, but the goalpost is always moving or changing. You know, the business is evolving. Like when we built TradersPost, we had zero intentions of supporting prop firms and copy trading, but it just, the platform, the architecture of it supported it accidentally, and customers were using it in a way that we didn't anticipate. So that created more work because now we have a new customer type that we kind of didn't really build for originally.
Right. And so the what's fun about it, and what I hope that people get if they watch Office Hours week by week, is that you really get to be part of this evolution on this platform in a way that's very transparent. I'm now in a situation that when I go take a look at the backends and the other tools that I normally use, now I have like an eye towards, hey, what are they actually changing over time? How are these updates rolling out? How does it feel? How do they listen to their public in a way that I didn't do it before? Because TradersPost a year from now compared to now just feels so diametrically different, and it makes me wonder what a year out looks like. So I'm pretty excited.
I think also, like, at least from my perspective, making a lot of small incremental changes is easier for the end user to adapt to as well. You know, so I always think about like having really big changes that happen overnight, and someone logs into the platform and literally everything is different. And I'm betting that can be difficult for end users. So it's good from a development perspective, and I think it's good from a user's perspective to kind of split things up into small, digestible pieces.
Yeah, and it just feels exciting to have this update that happens constantly. Added subscriptions shortcut to broker actions menu. Another quality of life change. You can now quickly access subscriptions linked to a broker using the broker 3-dot drop-down menu, making navigation faster and more convenient. Improve Tradovate and NinjaTrader integrations for multiple account setups. When connecting the same username to TradersPost multiple times, all linked accounts now share a single API access token. This enhancement simplifies management and avoids redundant token creation across accounts. Can we get a little bit more context for this? Like, what problem was this solving for people?
So it's kind of one of those things where, like, we didn't anticipate prop firm traders wanting to connect dozens of accounts underneath the same username, but there was some kind of IP quota limit that the Tradovate API enforces. And basically, if you were to connect the same username multiple times and select a different account ID each time you logged in, eventually you'd hit some kind of like rate limiting, and it would cause the accounts to not load and you'd get timeouts. So we changed that to where if you log in with the same username multiple times, it basically only has one connection to the broker, and all of the accounts that you've connected kind of share that one connection, and then you don't run into those the IP quota rate limits that we ran into. You know, and Mike was one of the people that helped discover this because he had 20 or so Apex accounts, and he's trying to, you know, basically trade and use TradersPost in the same way that our prop firm traders are using it, so that, you know, he can experience some of the pains that they're running into. And like I said, like, we didn't like build TradersPost for prop firm traders like upfront, but now that we have a lot of prop firm traders on the platform, we're starting to try to revise the UX and fix some of these things that aren't optimal for that particular use case.
So I think what I've run into is that we kind of need to rethink how we present the brokers on the platform. Essentially, when you connect a broker, what you're really doing is making a broker connection, and it is that connection that contains the access token. Within that connection, you can then choose an account. But the best thing to do is to basically create an empty connection that doesn't have any accounts selected and call that your parent account. And then you can clone that connection for all the individual Apex accounts or Tradeify accounts or whichever prop firm that you work with. And that makes it much easier to manage the same access token across all of these accounts at once, so that when one of these is failed, if you fail an account, assuming that people fail far less frequently than I do, then you will easily be able to just delete that subscription and broker account and still have your parent account connection. I'm going to do a video on this today to kind of cover the different ways to manage it. how to update an existing connection, how to make a new parent account connection, and so on and so forth. One sort of caveat to this is that once you've made the connection to Tradovate, that will become your parent account. There's no way to create like a new connection because we'll check that username and always reuse that access token. So there's a couple of gotchas here in the process, but I'll cover that in a separate video.
Fair enough. Organize connected brokers by live, paper, and inactive. The brokers page now groups your connected accounts into live, paper, and inactive sections for better organization and easier access to account actions. Brokers without a selected live or paper account are now clearly marked as inactive.
And that one was also so that like the 3-dot drop down that showed next to each broker row, some of those actions in that menu item are specific to a particular mode, and mode is either live or paper. So previously it was just one list of all your connections, and then the 3-dot drop down menu would kind of default to the default mode. But if you had a connection that was both live and paper, you couldn't access any of the actions for paper. It would only be available for live. So now you have two separate lists, so you can easily drill down into the live version or the paper version of each connected broker.
Cool. And then some bug fixes that were rolled out. If you guys are interested, if you're like me, you're a nerd, you like seeing these updates, please go ahead to docs.traders.io and click on the releases button on the top left, and you'll be able to get to be privy to all the new things that get added. These are always like snuck in there. Those pop up, and when they happen, I feel very, very excited. I should mention, just as a cautionary tale for people who think to themselves, "Hey, I'll just go ahead and build my own connection, and what do I need TradesPost for?" I had yet another contact who decided to go down that route themselves, and started 6 months ago. And slowly but surely, I kept telling them, just use TradesPost. Just use TradesPost. Just use TradesPost. No, 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 no. And then I got a call just the other day saying, okay, it turns out our product is not good enough to compare to TradesPost, that it handles all kinds of edge cases that you're not anticipating, and that it was $60,000 down the hole that didn't need to be spent whatsoever. And so put that in perspective with the monthly cost for a TradesPost. Just saying, this is not an ad. It could be just saying that it can cost you a lot of money and time going about it the hard way.
They could have just given us the $30K, and we'd have given it to them for lifetime. Except we don't have lifetime plans.
Well, it was 60, and their argument was that, well, we need a type of connection to an exchange, an exchange that TradesPost doesn't support. I go, I'm sure you could have given them the 60 and asked them to.
That is true. Yeah, we definitely could have. We could have had that discussion for sure.
That's right. All right. Let's see here. Next up, I wanted to touch on Blueprint from last week, because the topic of today's show will be AI development and strategy creation and stuff like that, which we'll talk about at the end today. But I wanted to bring up a video that Peter and I were streamed last Thursday on the TradesPost YouTube channel, where we went over basically what we did. And we can switch over to that. What we did was to take a YouTube video on one of these popular channels that's about generating a strategy. And the goal here was to, hey, can we just take the transcript of the video, pass that through an AI task manager, and then generate the Pine script for TradingView off of that, and just give it some screenshots from the actual video. And yeah, it did. It created the strategy with some back and forth. It created the strategy, and this is just a pitchfork candle strategy from the rumors. I thought that was a lot of fun, very interesting. We're getting to the point where this is this is becoming the norm, where more and more people are interested in generating strategies, using AI development in order to generate the strategies. Because one of the things that we heard all the time inside our support tickets and on Discord servers or whatever, is how can I actually create this thing? This thing I'm interested in, I have an idea, there's a YouTube video I saw, there's a strategy I want to try out, I can't code, what do I do? And now the world of AI coding has opened it up to everybody. Super excited. Love it. Yeah. And I was surprised how well it worked, because Mike, you'll remember 8 months ago when we tried this, just garbage, terrible. It didn't even know the difference, what PineScript was versus like JavaScript or something else. And now it can actually spit out these scripts. Very fun. Haven't decided yet.
You got to be careful with which model you select, though, because it seems like even still today, O3 will try to spit out Python when I've asked for PineScript, and it will do quirky things that I did not ask it to do. So you have to be really selective about which model you use and which one is really kind of geared towards coding. I think you guys are pretty much using Claude 3.5 for most of this, right?
Actually, a mix. That's one of the things I wanted to just move into for the topic of the show today, which is we are, one of the things we do in the first step is that we feed the AI the documentation for PineScript. The documentation, the reference materials, the release notes, so it even sees how PineScript changed over time.
How did you get that in more text-based format? Because their website is just not very easy to export from or crawl or navigate.
Well, it's actually better now. Before, it used to be a lot more difficult for the they changed the way that the PineScript documentation appears. And so now when I just give it that link in Cursor, it's able to go and crawl the site. Like when I ask it for information, it can actually get that information. The thing it doesn't do sometimes, it doesn't crawl every single piece of the site. It goes just enough in order to get an idea for context. So sometimes you have to prompt further to be like, hey, go to this page. Let me, just to show up its knowledge. But it's way better than it used to be. But that's what I want to talk about today for the topic of the show today, which is Taskmaster AI. This is a new tool that was created from the Cursor community and the Claude coding community that allowed people to, it basically breaks down a complex project into component parts and then allows Cursor to go and execute each one of these individually. Because one of the problems that you have, and Peter could switch to the Taskmaster here on the screen, one of the issues that people are having is that the context window gets lost once you do enough iterations, and the system doesn't necessarily understand where it went wrong and how it needs to fix the problem and blah, 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 going back and forth. But these task manager systems and memory systems are starting to be created within these AI coding environments that at the very beginning, you give it the whole idea of what you want the strategy to be. I'm talking about the transcript for the YouTube video, the screenshots, everything that you want this to output as. And then it breaks that down into maybe 30 tasks. And then it itemizes those tasks, breaks each one of those down, and then iterates over them, checking itself along the way, prioritizing different things, and really starts building it out in the way that a team of developers might do it. Is it perfect? No.
But it definitely solves some very obvious problems through this. As I'm developing a prop firm strategy framework at the moment in PineScript, I've been running into this exact situation where I find myself doing most of the outlining coding first, and then just trying to solve individual problems along the way. Because if you try to get it to just write all the code all at once, you're going to get crap. It's never very impressive.
Yeah, the thing I didn't understand, and it seems counterintuitive to me even now, is that you actually, I thought I had to start small and then build part by part.
Exactly. Yep.
But
that's what I'm saying.
But that's not the way to do it. The way is that you want the initial prompt to be as big, as heavy, as detailed as possible.
Okay.
And then let the system generate its own tasks, because it knows what it knows. Yeah. You don't assume that, well, I mentioned it, so it must know it. No, let it refer to it. And wherever there's a gap in its knowledge, it'll then go back and check the history going, hey, there's something I'm missing over here.
Interesting.
And yeah, and so if you give it the task in such a way that you say, this is the goal for it, this is how it needs to connect to the next task, this is the expected output, and then ways of testing it, well, then it does its own tests as it moves along, which I find pretty cool. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. I want more people to program this way because I have this interest where people are very reliant on TradingView in order to generate their signals, but there's a whole world of signal generation out there that's way bigger than just TradingView, because you can use data from all kinds of different sources, and sentiment data, and Fed data, and social media data, all kinds of different things like that, and it can generate signals that are really interesting, really cool, and actually might reflect more how some people trade. Some people trade, on things that are completely different than price action or volume or anything like that. So it's pretty cool.
Got it.
All right. Well, let's move off to our questions for the week. We're going to start off this week with a question here where the user is asking, I'm using a 5-minute chart and can only trade during market hours due to margin requirements. Sometimes a buy signal occurs in the pre-market, and by the time the market opens, the price has already skyrocketed. Since no alert is triggered, I missed the trade and the trend. What can be done to prevent this?
Aside from having a time machine?
Well, one of the simple things that I do for the situation is that if I have a script that has a signal that's in the pre-market, and what I do is I just pend it and then have it fire again at the market open. Because the issue that the person has here is that because the alert didn't fire, it doesn't fire at market open. But that's an easy fix. You could just make sure that. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a couple of solutions internally at TradersPost. If this is trading stocks, did you glean what asset class this was?
They were on NQ, I believe.
Okay, so if it's futures, it's a little different. But with stocks, we can pend an open order for market open. Futures is different, of course. But can you unpack what you said there, Tom? How you can actually queue up the alert for market open?
Yeah, so I'll just have if the variable says that the alert fired in outside of the trading window, outside of where I allow trades to happen, on market open, I check to see, has there been a buy signal since the market closed, and if so, trigger another buy signal.
Right.
Which is what this user ended up wanting to do. It's just that they were just complaining about the idea that their signal was missed.
Right.
Because it wasn't actually sent.
Yeah, and obviously we can't trigger the trade outside of market hours per the rules you've put in place for the strategy. But it sounds like the current solution is to do it in PineScript. We could, I suppose, John, look into some kind of market open trigger, but that would have to come down the line along with other types of event.
Well, it already worked that way, right? I mean, if they set up the strategy and are running it on the chart with extended hours, then it would trigger the alert, and then it would send it to TradersPost, and then we would queue it for the next market open.
I'm not sure what approach they're taking here. If they're looking at the regular trading hours chart for futures, then the alert would have quote unquote triggered only if they had the electronic trading hours selected. So this idea of pre-market, post-market, it's a little different in futures than it is for the stock market. Our current system allows you to submit an order pre-market, which will then be executed at market open. It's not the same thing in futures. So unless we change something in our system on the future side to look at when the session opens and then trigger orders at that time, this user would have to decide when they want that alert to be triggered. And to get it in pre-market, in essence here, which again, I'm not sure I like that phrase, because there is no pre-market in futures. It's either the electronic session or the regular session. So if he wants to trade early in the morning or take a trade before the regular session starts, then just trade on the electronic hours or set up his alert on the electronic hours.
That's true. Right. Okay. Next question here. Would enabling alerts to trigger once per minute have the same effect as using 1 minute alerts for execution and 10-minute alerts for trend analysis?
That kind of broke my brain. Say it one more time here.
Yes. Would enabling alerts to trigger once per minute, which is a setting that you can have within the TradingView alerts panel.
Oh, okay. I see.
Had the same effect as using a 1 minute alert, so being on the 1 minute chart for execution and 10-minute alerts for trend analysis.
No, because of the nature of the once per minute function in TradingView. That could mean it happens at any point during the middle of the bar. Once per minute simply means that whenever the condition is true within a 1 minute bar, it will fire that event, but only do it one time per minute, where the 1 minute alerts are fired at close. So as long as the condition is true at the end of the 1 minute bar, then it would fire then. So you're going to get slightly different results.
That's right. And I'm not sure what the rest of the conversation was. User didn't touch on this exactly, but just in case someone else has the same issue, you can pull higher time frame data into a 1 minute chart. So you pull the 10-minute data into a 1 minute chart, and then use the 10-minute for analysis, and then signal on the 1 minute. You can do that. There is one caveat for that, and that is there's a limit to how high up you can be from your current chart. So if you're on the 1 minute chart, pull in the 10-minute, not a problem. You want to pull the weekly, you're going to get a problem because it's not enough.
Oh, we're losing Tom.
The different way that some people do it is that instead of pulling the higher time frame data, they calculate how many number of bars for the current time frame equals 1 bar for the higher time frame, and then scale out their formula accordingly. That also hits into the issue if you don't have enough bars for the past. So as long as the higher time frame and the lower time frame in PineScript, as long as the higher time frame and lower time frame are relatively close together, then you're generally going to have the same sort of values as if you were to run in the script on the 10-minute chart and wanted to signal for the 1 minute.
Yep.
All right. It's fun. I spend so much of my mental energy now in coding signals not in PineScript anymore, because it's sort of like I just feel like it's like going away. It just feels like not as exciting as the type of things that's happening right now. I got to put my mind back into TradingView. All right, next up here, next question. Can I connect my E-Trade account to Discord to automatically execute trades posted in Discord channels? I wanted to ask you guys, was there a lot of interest in people generating signals, like using a bot in Discord to send signals? I know there's a page in our documentation about a Discord bot there.
It's been asked
rarely
for, but
hear about it.
It's pretty rare. I mean, a handful of times people ask for it, but basically you could write your own script to basically connect to your Discord server and read the chat history. And then anytime there's a message that matches some pattern that you've programmed, you could extract the information from that message and parse it and then send that as a webhook to TradersPost. But the issue is a lot of these Discord communities, they don't format the message consistently. So it's pretty unreliable, and then you run the risk of you're basically giving the person in Discord kind of like access to post trades to your account.
Right.
So I'm not sure it's a good idea to do that. But technically, yes, it is possible.
Yeah, and also for any client I've dealt with before, they're also sending a webhook signal to Discord to begin with. So you might as well just route that directly to the TradersPost. There's no real reason to pass through Discord in order to do it.
I think in the future, we definitely want the ability to relay messages to Discord. So if someone is setting up something like that, they would send the alert to TradersPost, and then TradersPost could send it to Discord, Telegram, and your broker. So I think that would be the more kind of like technically correct way to do that.
That's right. Next up, how do I connect AI-generated signals to TradingView to automate trades on TradersPost? This is the question of the week that I enjoy. Mike and John, I'm sure you guys are going to be very tired by all the AI talk that I'm just going to constantly be saying. But it's not going to slow down. I'm not going to stop, no matter how much you threaten me. Just kidding. The AI talk is going to keep on going because that is the future. So to connect AI-generated signals, I just wanted to open up this discussion here. We've had some talk over the last couple of weeks about potentially an API for the TradersPost platform, and one that allows for MCP servers, AI MCP servers, to connect to be able to retrieve data and execute things. So I just wanted to mention that it is a conversation that's happening at TradersPost to be able to give more flexibility to programmatically interact with our platform. How do you guys feel? Can you corroborate any of that? And how do you guys feel about that as a prospect in the nearest future?
Yeah, long term, we've always had plans to build out a more comprehensive API, but it's not currently on the roadmap.
Right.
And on this question, the AI generated signals on TradingView, what exactly do they mean there? Like, there are no
AI generated
AI.
signals. Unless you mean you used AI to generate PineScript, which then generates signals.
No, I think, I mean, this user, I'm sure was maybe misspeaking as far as machine learning, not really true AI. That's often what I hear about in the TradingView space. But I was more interested in the AI angle.
I see. There's also signal groups, or like people, it's not like Lux Algo, but like QuantView. They market all their stuff as AI, but it's not AI. It's basically a marketing scam. There's really no other thing to call it. When you write PineScript, it's not AI. Like you can do some loose machine learning stuff, but they're calling it AI, but it's not really AI.
Yeah. Effectively, PineScript just doesn't have the frameworks in place to do large scale computations that would normally be found in a data science library of any kind. You can do some basic nearest neighbors classification, which has been done in scripts like the Lorentzian classification script that Justin Doherty wrote. And that's a very rudimentary form of machine learning. But advanced AI, the stuff that we're working with every day with like Claude or ChatGPT, that requires enormous GPU power in order to function. And that's not anywhere near the PineScript library yet. It's not inside, it's not available, nothing like that.
Well, the thing is, with the addition of the AI chat that TradingView just spun up and added to the interface, I don't know how much you guys use that in order to talk to the documentation or what have you, but I was actually very surprised that they did that. It makes me wonder if, like, and given the fact that they did try to do request.seed last year that allowed people to basically host data on a GitHub repo and then use that information within TradingView,
which was kind of cool. That was really promising there for a minute, and then they took it away.
Oh, they did take that away?
They had to take it away. People were they were able to import data within the platform that they shouldn't be able to import, and then it became like accessible to everyone, and then so it was a huge problem. I was surprised they did to begin with, and it immediately became a huge problem. So they grandfathered some people in. So there's only some scripts online that could still use the request.seed. I'm so jealous. And you can't do anything else. But the idea that the PineScript might be able to send out a signal or something like that and retrieve data through an API, is that crazy for them to do? I don't think it would be, and I'm sure
I just think you're using the wrong platform to do stuff like that. You would need to look at something like QuantConnect in order to look into more sophisticated ways to do external data or import external data and then trigger off calls from there. And QuantConnect is a platform that supports webhooks, so you can still use TradersPost from QuantConnect. And that would be a more appropriate environment to build machine learning based algorithms that use external data. It just feels like you're using, the wrong vehicle if you try to hack it to work on TradingView. Despite how cool TradingView is for charting, if you want much more sophisticated data management and machine learning access, that's not the platform for it.
Absolutely, literally the reason why doing all these videos on Blueprint to show how you can do these signal generations off the platform, because I don't think people really. When you're in TradingView and it's so cool and it's a beautiful interface, you sort of forget that it's like 1% of what you can actually do.
It's true.
All right, next up, let's say I use Tradovate and send a buy long signal for 2 gold contracts with a trailing stop.
Let's go long on gold.
The order is filled, and I now hold a long position with a trailing stop in place. Later, I send an exit signal from TradingView to close the position. Will this exit signal also cancel the trailing stop?
It sure will.
Yes.
That is the idea, is that when you send the exit signal, we're going to cancel all existing open orders and then flatten your existing open position.
Excellent. Next, I had a buy signal fail because a valid limit price was required to calculate the stop loss and take profit. My broker, Tradovate, apparently doesn't provide market prices, and I can't send one either. I just wanted to execute at the best market price. I've since updated my settings to send a buy or sell order at market, and I now set stop loss take profit as dollar amounts in TradesPost. This seems simpler and less prone to error.
Was
Next
there more to
slide.
that?
Well,
Yeah.
you're gonna get.
No,
Sorry,
there's
go ahead.
there's another. Yeah, there's another slide to that. My question is simple. Sorry for the waffle. If I request market as entry price, will you be able to send instructions to my broker with that order, or do you absolutely have to have a price to enter at, or will this work? And do you automatically give the right stop loss and take profit to my broker based on the market price and my
We
desired?
have to have a price. Yeah, we
Right.
have to have the price. We don't know what you're going to get filled at, and we have to send the take profit and stop loss with your entry order. It can't be sent after. So we have to have some kind of like relative price to calculate the take profit and stop loss from. Normally, the brokers would give us market data, and we could fetch a quote, and then we would use that quote to sort of like estimate what we think the market order fill price will be. But if you don't send a price, we are not able to fetch it from the quote, and it's not in the signal, and that's why you get that error when you try to use a relative take profit or stop loss.
For what it's worth, Tradovate is the only futures broker that doesn't have market data available at the time of the trade. So you can look into TradeStation or Tasty Trade for this exact setup if you're hoping for us to get the market price and then set up your take profit and stop loss. So it's really kind of a broker issue more than a TradesPost issue. You can work with a broker that provides market price for us to do the dynamic take profit and stop loss from.
Great. Next up, feature requests. When can we pay with crypto?
Interesting. Actually, I don't think we would have to put a ton of work into this. It's something Stripe sort of supports out of the box, so we could certainly look into it.
Nice, because I have one friend of
Did you
mine.
sneak that in there, Tom, or was that a real customer request?
No, someone asked it. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. No, I don't want to pay with crypto. I'm all for the American empire and the dominance of the U.S. dollar. Okay, I'm
Okay,
not
fair
going
enough.
to undercut the empire. No, thank you. Next up, if I currently have an open buy limit order and 10 minutes later I send another buy limit order, will there be two separate open buy limit orders? I want both orders to remain active.
Yes.
No, today, the first limit order would be open, and as long as there's no open position, it would cancel the previous limit order. But we do have the ability to disable the order canceling in the strategy settings. And then
even with active position, active.
Well, because there's no position open. So that's the way the logic works today. Is
unless that first order filled, that's where my mind went. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd be adding to the position,
right?
And that could happen. You know, the first one could fill, or maybe the first one is a market order, and it gets you in the position, and then all the subsequent ones are limit orders. But yeah, but by default, TradersPost is kind of like designed around this idea of like only having like one limit order open at a time. And imagine you sent a limit order and then that limit order doesn't fill, but your strategy Pine script thinks you're in a position because maybe it filled on the Pine script side. And then you send the sell signal and the limit order is still open, but you send the sell signal. That sell signal needs to cancel that limit order. So canceling the limit order is kind of like exiting the position. At least that's the way the system looks at it, because you're selling that position, but the limit order never filled. So we need to cancel that so that it doesn't fill later. But you can disable that behavior, but then you'll kind of run into other problems in the future. Like someone asked that previous question, if you have a take profit or a stop loss attached to your entry, and then later your strategy sends a sell, it will no longer cancel that take profit and stop loss because you've disabled the canceling. So TradersPost tries to like do things for you automatically so that you don't have to do them. But if you disable that, you're then responsible for canceling those orders. So you'd have to basically send a signal to cancel open orders, wait 60 seconds or some amount of time, and then send the action to exit the trade.
You said there was an ability to cancel that behavior where the limit order cancels the previous one?
Yeah, in the cancel section right there, you can disable canceling open orders.
All right. So that's over here. Disable canceling open orders. Got it.
Yep.
Oh, I've never actually used that.
So that disables the behavior entirely. So TradersPost will, when we receive signals, we basically will fetch from the broker all the open orders for that ticker, and we'll basically cancel those orders before submitting the next order to the broker.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
And we do have another feature. Sorry, we do have one other feature that's being worked on, to where you can disable the canceling in your settings, but then you can opt in specific signals to kind of re-enable that cancel behavior, but only for that one signal. So then you could send an action of exit, and then in the JSON you could have cancel true, and then that would override that setting, and it would cancel the orders first. It would wait for those orders to be fully canceled, and then it would send the order to exit the open position.
But if I'm in an open position, I can send multiple limit orders to partially close that position out.
And if there's an open position, but then you send a signal that would exit the open position, it's going to cancel those orders. So the logic is, if there's no cancel open orders, if there's no open position, or the signal is exiting the open position.
Got it. Okay, perfect. All right. Feature request. Is there a way to cancel all open orders when the trading window closes? I know we've had this before, but can ask it again because they sent it in. They want at the end of the trading window, just go ahead and close out all the positions that exist in my account.
Not currently, but you would just basically have to send that signal at the end of the trading window in your Pine script.
Yeah, this comes up quite a bit. We have built a Pine script for this, which is like a separate indicator called scheduled alerts. It's one we did on a previous Blueprint show. You can add that to your chart, attach the time that you wanted to exit, set up your webhook URL, and it will exit your positions that way. I have it coded into all of my strategies. There's effectively an exit window in which all positions get closed at a specific window. But in the future, we will definitely explore having a scheduled time for all positions to be closed at a specific time. But at the moment, it's not available.
Cool. And our last question. I'm using your indicator across multiple time frames. 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, 30, and 1 hour. If I receive a buy signal on the 1 minute chart and then another on the 5 minute chart shortly after, there's a conflict. How should this be handled? So this is not our indicator. This is part of a conversation. But essentially what happens is when you have an indicator and it's sending signals across all. So our system doesn't know that you were sending on the 1 minute or the 5 minute or 30. Like, it doesn't make any difference. We get the signal in. And so if you send another signal, we'll treat it as if it came in right away.
Yep.
One of the ways around this that was suggested to the user is that if you're running essentially multiple strategies, and these are supposed to be siloed, well, then create different accounts, different broker accounts, different, well, in this case, it was crypto, just create different crypto accounts, and then you'll have the strategy siloed to that location. If for some reason it needs to account for all that, well, I would create one script that access data from all the different time frames and then generated my buy signal accordingly. I wouldn't run 5 different indicators and then hope that those signals combine in the proper way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's it for the questions that we have for this week. If there's anything you want to take away from this, is 1, TradesPost is awesome, and 2, AI is taking over everything. So just get those 2 messages in your mind and just do that. Think of that. Is there anything that you guys have on the docket? Anything coming up in the horizon that you guys are excited for? Market news, more Bitcoin buys, anything market related?
I think Really just looking to get the Project X integration out the door. I know more prop firms supported are going to be exciting for everybody.
That's right. Oh my God, I've heard Project X now, which is the synchronicity of the John Collin TradesPost Project X back in the day. It just blows my mind. But my God, I 9 times a day I hear Project X, even from just randomly online. I'm like, what is going on? But it could be that, given that I give myself completely to the algorithms, maybe I'm just getting surfaced all that information again and again. So who knows? All right. That's it for this week. We're going to be back on next Tuesday at 3 o'clock with more office hours. So if you have any questions or feedback or feature requests or praise, we like praise, send in praise, please feel free to leave it as a comment on the YouTube video, send it to us on Twitter, send us a message in support, or post it on Discord. Always happy to hear from you to make TradesPost the best automated trading platform in the universe. Before we leave, though, I know we have a question in the chat. Prop firm section on Discord, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
What's a prop firm section? Oh, prop firm, the channel.
We'll
okay.
Yeah, channel. We'll just call it prop firms, and that'll be where all the prop traders go to discuss how to make all this work on TradersPost.
Excellent. I'm waiting for the day where Mike says, you know what? I'm no longer trading personal capital. I'm only going to be trading prop firms. I'm all about that prop firm life. Because you're following down that rabbit hole, you're learning more about it. And then I want him to teach me how to do the prop firm stuff and trade properly, because I blow out every single account I ever have. Never was able to pass anything.
Let me get past an eval first. We'll see how it goes.
Sure. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week. And until then, happy trading.
Cheers, everyone. See you.